Hello everyone, it's Tonka Joey, of course, and since the other week I made that video where I was reacting to AO3 author notes people had posted on Tumblr, just funny notes that authors had written about stories and their writing process and just some funny, some crazy things, and I shared my own kind of like thoughts and experiences. So I found this Tumblr called AO3 Screenshots. Tumblr is mostly to share the funny AO3 tags I see, and that sounds fun because it's basically author notes, but even shorter and probably with even more opportunity for craziness. You know, I started out this YouTube channel, I just made videos of funny AO3 tags. This is circling back to that, and don't worry, I will still be making videos like that in the future if you enjoy them. I'm just trying some new things right now. Keep things fresh for me and find out what you guys really enjoy watching the most that I enjoy making the most. So let's just go for it. And we're gonna give them a little follow to support them. Go check out the Tumblr if you enjoy this video. Character study. But the character is actively refusing study. That is an interesting one. I think I've definitely written some things that were meant to be a character study, trying to examine their reasons for what they do. But sometimes that can be really hard to do for one reason or another. I think it may sound funny to some people when you say, like, oh, my character is actively refusing study. But sometimes while you're writing, it does feel like your characters have their own autonomy outside of your pen and paper. And you feel like you have to bend and change to what the character wants to do, even though theoretically the character should want to do what you want them to do. It's crazy how that's not always the case. Sometimes it just really feels like a character is being pulled in a direction that you never intended, just because of the surrounding circumstances, even though you wrote those surrounding circumstances. And I think that's a really interesting, fun part of writing. Sometimes it can be frustrating, obviously, if you plan for a character to do something, but then suddenly it seems like they want to do something else. But it's also really cool, and it really makes it feel like your writing is alive somehow. They're in love because I said so. I can really relate to this because quite a few things that I have written and shared online are what you call crack ships, where you take two characters who either like have never interacted or are from totally different shows, movies, video games, you know, whatever, and you make them fall in love. There's no reason why this fictional cartoon character and this fictional cartoon character should even be thought of in the same sentence. But you know what? For some reason, I thought, what if they were in love? And you know, you gotta come up with some way you can reconcile these two characters existing in the same universe and also falling in love with each other. But it's harder, actually, to make characters fall in love, I feel, if they are from the same universe and it's just not a relationship that canon would probably allow for, if that makes any sense. I'm writing something right now. It's a video game fanfiction, and as I was playing the video game, I saw these two characters interacting and I was like, but what if they were in love? But the thing is, there's no real reason why character A would want to be in a relationship with character B. So I'm trying to write about it, but it's really hard to make it work, and you just kind of have to be like, yeah, they're in love because I said so. And like I'm not just jumping in to like they're already in a relationship. I'm trying to reconcile it and reason it out between characters in the story. That's kind of the whole point of this story. But yeah, it's just sometimes you gotta be like, they're in love because I said so. Like, please don't ask why I came up with this. It's just because I said so. Love, fluff, and serial killers. That kind of plays into the last thing I was talking about. Like, trying to make something work when it shouldn't. This doesn't give me all the information. Maybe the serial killers are not the ones engaging in love and fluff. But I love that this really just like speaks to the nature of some of my favorite kinds of fan fiction, where you just take like these characters who obviously probably don't have a lot of just fun, happy times in the real deal, and so you go make fan fiction where they can. Does a serial killer deserve love and fluff? We're not here to discuss that, we're just here to give it to them. My updates are inconsistent. How do I say that? My updates are inconsistent. So is my spelling. If a word has more than 3 I's in it, I will misspell it. Spelling, grammar. Wow, they can be difficult sometimes, and I'm not trying to like brag, but I did have very good scores in my English lessons back when I was in school. But even still, I mess up spelling and grammar all the time. And I think with grammar, it can be okay to break the rules sometimes, definitely. It's okay to have periods and commas where maybe they shouldn't be according to the rules of the language. But if it adds the proper emphasis and flow of what you're saying, then totally you can break those rules to make it sound in the reader's mind more like how natural speech would sound, not just how a textbook would tell you it should sound. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. Do not feel like you have to be perfect at grammar and or spelling or vocabulary or anything to write, because writing will help you get better at it, especially if you're asking other people for help along the way. You will learn a lot. Random plot issues that remain completely unresolved. Hand-waving at plot lines. What is plot in a story anyway? This is definitely an issue I had probably more so when I was younger, like 7 years ago, when I was like 15. I would just come up with so many different ideas, and I was writing like I was trying to write like not just fan fictions, but I was trying to write whole original novels, honestly. And I would try to cram in so many of these different ideas and plot lines and stuff like that, and it really clogged up the story and made it hard for any main plot line to progress. So this is what this makes me think of. And yeah, I feel like eventually, if I ever actually continued writing those stories, I would just have to wave a hand at some of those old things. Yeah, they're gonna remain unresolved. We're not gonna think about them again. It was the whole point of this one chapter, but we're not gonna resolve it now because we don't have time. It's totally fine. If you're just writing fanfiction, you're having fun, don't worry if some plot lines don't make sense or if they don't go anywhere. You're just having fun, and sometimes what's happening in the moment can be more valuable than what's happening overall, I think, in the realm of fanfiction. Complicated fools with complicated, confusing feelings. It's a good way to describe your characters, especially if you honestly feel like you have no idea what's going on. Or like I mentioned earlier, maybe you're just having a hard time justifying those characters' feelings for each other, then yeah, those characters are having some complicated, confusing feelings inside their hearts and minds right now. I really do enjoy a good, it says complicated fools, but I just think of that meaning like, I picture a very complex character, and I really enjoy deep, complex characters. Obviously, there's definitely a ton of room in the world for characters that are pretty straightforward, and maybe they just kind of serve as a good representation of something, of a feeling, a viewpoint, a virtue. But when there is more complexity, there's kind of conflicting viewpoints within a character, or just conflicting to the reader, that adds a lot of flavor. And I'm not saying every character needs to be totally complex and conflicting to be interesting, but I just really enjoy it when there is a character who makes you feel more than one way. My immediate example for anything like this is this movie called Anna, and the main character, you do want to feel for her. you have sympathy for her situation. She's had a horrible, rough life before this too. So, with that you'd think, oh, she's a very sympathetic character who of course you want to root for. But on the other hand, she makes a lot of decisions that I don't agree with. She's like in a relationship with 2 different men and, they're not aware of this. She's 2-timing them. She's totally willing to drag other people down for her own sake without considering how they might feel about it. So a lot of the time while I was watching, I was like, I don't like Anna. Look at what she's doing. She's hurting all these people and making decisions I don't like. But at the same time, I do want her to succeed because I see how much she's hurting because of it. Those 2 things are not mutually exclusive. It just makes it really complicated for me as a watcher to engage with. On one hand, I want Anna to achieve her goals, and on the other hand, I kind of want to see her crash and burn because of how she treats other people in her life. So even though I'm not a huge fan of that movie, and I'd say I'm not a fan of Anna the character, I'm a big fan of how she was written in such a way that could make me feel complex feelings. To have a character who's not just objectively good or objectively bad, but, it's the reality of the situation and everything. There's good and bad in everyone, and humans are generally sympathetic creatures. We want the best for other people, and sometimes we have a hard time rationalizing that with wanting someone to be happy, but also seeing that they're not a perfect person. So if you are capable of writing characters in a very, sure, maybe they're just complicated fools with complicated, confusing feelings. Maybe they're not, consistent. One day they say their favorite color is orange, the next day they say their favorite color is blue. Maybe that's all that this tag means by that, to be very simple. But maybe they're complicated fools because there's so many sides to them that it's hard to tell how you as a reader or writer feel about them. Unnecessary drama, as per my usual. Look, if you want unnecessary drama, that's totally fine. If you need a problem to occur, and it's to move the story forward, maybe that drama will have to be unnecessary in, their world, but it's necessary for you to write as the author. So it's hard to think of anything being unnecessary in a story unless it's literally in there for absolutely no reason. If it's there because it brings out more of the character's personalities or, helps deepen the character, if it's there to move the plot along, if it's there to help resolve a plot line, it's not really unnecessary. It might seem unnecessary on the outside, but it's not. And I just thought of something I wrote a long time ago. It was basically all unnecessary drama between different characters. Like, maybe this should have been resolved much easier, or maybe this problem shouldn't have occurred between them at all. But it was necessary for me as a writer because it was kind of this entire character relationship study where the drama had to happen for the characters' relationships to strengthen and for them to understand each other and for us to learn more about each character and also how they interact with one another. So yeah, it's interesting how you can have something that's maybe on one hand unnecessary, but also on the other hand it's very necessary for one reason or another, whatever your goal is while writing. But also, if you just want to put in something random for fun, that's so valid. Have fun with it. I only had to stop writing like 3 times out of sheer embarrassment. That's kind of relatable. Maybe you're just writing something that it's the sort of thing that makes you blush, and you have to step back for a minute. Like, what am I writing? Oh no. I think that happens when I'm writing like even just like 2 characters share a kiss. Okay. Even if all I write is like they kissed, that's too embarrassing for me. I'm the kind of person who, if I'm like watching a movie and someone's kissing, I look away. I'm an adult. I pay my taxes, and I still look away when people kiss in a movie. So if I have to write about it, not like I have to write about it, but yeah, maybe that feels a little awkward for me sometimes. It's not a fix-it if I'm breaking them more. Yeah, I talked about fix-its in the last reaction type video like this. And this is so funny. It's not a fix-it if I'm breaking them even more. Yeah, sometimes we don't fix things from canon. Sometimes we make them worse. We want to see these characters suffer for one reason or another. We want to push the envelope, as they say. Do you guys say envelope or envelope? That's a good discussion to have in the comments. You guys like pointing out that I say things funny with my accent. Apparently I say dragon weirdly. Dragon? I guess to people in other parts of the world, my accent is funny. Anyway, I'm talking about not anti-fix-it, making it worse. I don't know what else to say. I don't know what I did say. Really went on a tangent there. Let's keep going. How come I'm only productive at writing between the hours of 1 a.m. and 4 a.m.? Yeah, sometimes inspiration doesn't strike until after you've already crawled under the covers. Gotten cozy under the blankets. I realize maybe I'm no scientist. Maybe it's because that's when your mind is clearest. You're not worried about what you're having to do for the day, things you have planned. You're not worried about school or work or what you're gonna have for dinner. It's the middle of the night, so that's when you've got the most room in your mind for writing. Unfortunately, that just happens to be the same time where you should be asleep, which is too bad. I wrote this instead of paying for therapy. I wouldn't say I write things for the sake of, like, therapy for myself, but a lot of the times little things do end up getting into the story, and I'm like, that's kind of like the feelings I have. I guess I'm just kind of working through the characters, but it's never my intention. It just kind of happens to happen. And it's cool that we can explore our deepest thoughts and worries and problems through fiction. Thank you for watching. I hope some of my thoughts and my opinions and my stories about my own writing and my, whatever this was, I don't even know. I feel like I just got lost on tangents all the time. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Content's being a little strange right now, I guess, on the channel. But I'm gonna try hard to figure out what you guys enjoy watching the most. Have a wonderful day. May your writing go well and you have fun with it and you get lots of people enjoying your stories, because that always feels nice. I just wish you all the best, and I will see you in the next video. Why is that like becoming the thing I say now? I'll see you in the next one. I need a good catchphrase. This is Joey hopping on out. I'll just go with that for now. Message me on Twitter if you want to say hi. I will be sure to answer.